Welcome to another episode of Workplace Wellness Story Time. And today we are tackling the story that has sparked public debate on a lot of online platforms. It's about a gentleman or a guy that went out there and applied for a job at a very prominent company. Let's call this guy James. So after applying for the job, James got a rejection email, like at least, 99% of the candidates, he received that. And then he took that online and he said, "Dear X company, you have just lost out on my problem solving skills, communication skills, analytical skills, problem solving, etc." And he gave the right things. And in my head, I thought to myself, oh, this company just lost a great guy, because those are exactly the things that companies struggle to find in candidates. Until I was like, no, wait, this is not sounding right. Is what he just did empowering him, or just career suicide? So that's what we're talking about today. How do you channel your grief into something more useful than career suicide online? Let's talk about this trend of people ranting online. I mean, put Gen Z together with a public platform like LinkedIn, Facebook, or whatever, where there is no payment required, perhaps. And what you come up with, you come up with an explosive product that has entertaining things, but also some things that are really detrimental. I mean, I'm not saying that you cannot go on LinkedIn and publicly talk about an employer. We've seen that work positively. That lady who reported all the bad things that were happening at the restaurant she was working at, and then Department of Labor got involved and got that solved. I'm actually talking about you going with your own personal vendetta that is not validated, because the truth is, brands do care about what's said about them publicly, but is going there with an emotional rant the way to go about it? Maybe not. But also, you know what? There's a twist to this, because I understand James. James was experiencing rejection, and rejection activates exactly the same pathways in the brain that are activated by pain. So James was in pain, basically, and James' rant was just him looking to relieve the pain. It was a survival skill and not really an egoistic move. But there could be another way, James. But anyway, I think I understand it from that perspective. And also, James was looking to prolong the emotional recovery, because emotional recovery is not fun. When you're rejected, your senses get heightened, your adrenaline is in a rush, and you really do want to keep it going for so long by talking to everybody, getting all the likes coming in and all the laughs coming in. But that delays your emotional recovery. Don't you just want to be more mindful about it and learn from the experience rather than fueling the fire? So I'm going to give any candidate that has felt rejected 3 tips of how you can do it in a healthy way. Number 1, you can seek a private, feedback session from the HR. Just write them the same way they wrote you the email. Could you please help me with maybe 2 things I could improve in presenting my skills in my next job search interview, or something like that. Number 2, which is my favorite, is the 24-hour rule. Write down your rant. Yes, do write it. Write it on your timeline. Just don't publish it. Then go to bed. Tomorrow, wake up, read it, and delete it. Never ever publish it. It actually maintained your career. The last thing is, find the less common social media platforms. Find career groups on Reddit. Look for everybody in that group that has posted about how they've been rejected. Read their comment, relate to them, comment to their comments or their post with all your heart, but just don't go on your public platform. And I wouldn't have done justice if I do not also address the talent acquisition teams. People are looking for jobs in a place where jobs have become a scarce commodity, if I can say that. And when you send a rejection, could we be a bit more kind, a little bit more human? And instead of blind copying every candidate we are rejecting, maybe just send an email to "Dear candidate," and just write, "Unfortunately, you did not meet this." And let's leave the toxic positivity. A potential employer or HR person will write, please stay in touch. I mean, we all know we're not fooling anybody. We're not going to stay in touch. So why not just say, look out on our platform for any other jobs that we will advertise, because we do not want to sound like robotic people or even people that are very out of touch with the pains of the rejected candidates. Lastly, it's important to highlight that rejection does not mean failure. It is just redirection into a different space where you can even succeed. But how then do you turn this into a wellness space rather than something that will destroy your career for life? Follow the tips that I've already shared, and looking forward to seeing you in the next wellness story time. Cheers.